When you have done the basic editing, meaning precipitation, total cloud cover, and temperature, you can do editing to other parameters, mostly in the order you want to do. So it depends a little bit of time of the year, for example. So during the spring, autumn, and winter, we also need to consider fog. So fog is in my macro on row number 5, and good way to edit fog is to combine different models. Fog has 3 values. Fog 0 means no fog. Fog 1 means light fog. And then if you have fog 2, it means dense fog. So for example, I can combine to the nighttime, especially that. So I can take an average of these 2 models for the next 2 nights. Note that if one of these values is, for example, 2 and the other one is 0, you're gonna end up with a value of 1. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. So always remember to think logically what you want to do and what the end result would be. So let's try this one. So during the nighttime, so from 22 until 6, I am gonna use an average of these 2 models. So I'm gonna execute the macro, and I would expect to see some changes in here, like I did. So if I undo, I can see that first it was more dense in this area, and then if I redo, you can see that there is more of this fog, but mostly it's light fog, except in these areas here. Of course, if you want to check if the fog is possible, you can try a different approach, and you can once again apply smart tool language. So you can try something like this, for example. So fog according to total cloud cover and relative humidity level information. Here I have total cloud cover. So if total cloud cover is less than 80 and relative humidity in the model of ECMWF at the level of 1000 hectopascals is over 80, and then also relative humidity at surface level in our high resolution model is over 80, and also we are at least 10 kilometers away from the sea, fog is gonna be 1, so it's gonna be light fog. This is a very good approach actually. So let's undo what we did when we were blending the models. Let's try to run this script. Now the changes are not so big. So especially in this southern Norway and Sweden, the changes are actually quite small. So if I undo and then redo, you can see that. But in other parts, the change is quite notable actually. So undo, there was nothing before, and then redo, now there is quite a lot of this light fog. But because it's the nighttime and you can check the other parameters as well, there is some freezing degrees and also clear skies. So might be possible that some fog could be forming in there. But also depends on the situation. And what I usually want to do is to see the sounding. So I'm gonna use this view again and go to Saturday 00 and see this sounding. And according to the sounding, there is no possibility for fog. So we are overestimating with that kind of script fog possibility in this situation. In some other situation, and maybe according to some other model, it might work. But for now, this kind of situation, it's not the result we want to have. So I'm gonna undo this change. Anyway, this is a good macro to be saved in your own folder, in case you sometimes need it. Another way to edit fog is also based on visibility. So what you can do is that you start with saying fog is 0, so you remove all fog, and then you refer to visibility parameter. So if it's less than 600 meters, for example, you can put there dense fog, and if it's between 600 and 1000 meters, you can put light fog. This is also a good approach, and we can try what it does. And based on the visibility, this area remained almost untouched, so there probably is gonna be some fog in this area. So if I undo and redo, I can see only small changes here. If you want, with this kind of approach, you can also, depending on your needs and your knowledge on climate, you can add information about wind direction, for example. You can write that and WD, which stands for wind direction, should be something specific. So for example, over 270 degrees. So you have westerly to northerly wind direction, for example. And you might have some area-specific knowledge about how flow over certain mountain or water body affects the temperature or the moisture and then contributes to the fog formation. So you can build once again a macro that is suitable for your country. And if you want to do something more complex of an approach, you can also write down a macro that takes precipitation or even precipitation form into account, because it also affects how fog is forming. So only the sky is the limit here, and remember that you have the best knowledge, what kind of changes you need to do and what kind of features you need to take into account.